My stepsister framed me for causing her allergic reaction, so my three brothers locked me in a cramped, airless cellar and chained the door shut. I weakly pounded on the cellar door, begging my brothers to let me out. James, my oldest brother and a business tycoon, coldly scolded me before leaving. It's bad enough that you usually bully Lily, but deliberately feeding her seafood when you know she's allergic? Were you trying to kill her? Stay in there and think about what you've done. William, my second brother and a rising music star, and Henry, my third brother and a genius painter, both sneered. Someone as vicious as you is still making excuses and playing the victim. You can just stay in there and suffer the consequences. With that, they carried my trembling stepsister Lily in their arms and rushed her to the hospital. As the oxygen slowly ran out, each breath became more labored until I finally died in that cellar. 3 days later, when my brothers returned home from the hospital with Lily, they finally remembered me. But by then, I had already suffocated to death in that cramped cellar. I died from lack of oxygen in that cellar. When I regained consciousness, I found my spirit hovering next to my three brothers. They had just returned to their mansion. James and William were gently helping Lily, speaking to her kindly. Thank goodness we got you to the hospital in time. You're recovering so quickly. Henry fussed over her with obvious concern. The doctor said your body is still weak and needs proper nourishment. He then eagerly served Lily a large piece of meat. A servant hesitantly spoke up. Young masters, Miss Rachel hasn't made a sound in the cellar for 3 days now. James snorted and cut her off. Today is a happy day. Lily's coming home from the hospital. Why bring up that troublemaker? The servant tried to continue, but William and Henry's cold glares silenced her. That wretched girl must have known about the seafood allergy, and deliberately made an entire seafood dinner. William fumed. And here I thought she was finally starting to accept Lily. Turns out it was all premeditated. Henry added angrily. Lily put on a frightened expression and timidly said, Big sister is being punished because of me. She's been alone in that cellar for so many days. What if she's angry when she comes out? James's expression hardened. Don't worry, Lily. We've been too lenient with her before. She's never faced real consequences. After this lesson she won't dare bully you again. As he spoke, he instinctively pulled out his phone and refreshed our chat history. But our last messages were still from 3 days ago. In those 3 days, I hadn't sent a single message or made a single call. James's eyes flashed with anger. That ungrateful brat. It's been days and she hasn't even sent one message asking how Lily is doing. At that moment, Lily deliberately grasped James's hand and said in a tearful voice, I just wanted Big Sister to spend time with me. I never meant to steal anything from her. James quickly set down his phone and stroked Lily's head affectionately. Lily, you're so kind. Not like her. She's nothing but an ungrateful wretch. William's eyes filled with cold disdain as he thought of me. That's right. She dares to harm family just to get attention. She's truly despicable. Henry nodded in vehement agreement and sneered. Unless she's learned her lesson and is willing to kneel and apologize to Lily, I'll throw her out of this house myself. I stood nearby, listening to my brother's words, and could only laugh bitterly at the absurdity, but my spirit's actions went completely unnoticed by the living. Ever since our parents died when I was young, my 3 brothers had devoted all their attention to me. One day I said I wanted a playmate my own age, so my brothers went to an orphanage and adopted Lily as my stepsister. I opened my heart to Lily's arrival, but in front of my brothers she repeatedly framed me, causing them to grow more and more distant from me with each passing day. Including this time, my 3 brothers locked me in that tiny cellar without a second thought. I struggled desperately, but could only feel the air in the cramped cellar growing thinner and thinner. Pounding on the cellar door, I begged my brothers over and over to let me out, but my brothers only looked at me coldly, angrily saying, What are you yelling about? This is all your own fault. If it weren't for you, why would Lily be suffering from such a bad allergic reaction? We've clearly been too nice to you. That's why you keep bullying and tormenting Lily. Just stay in there and think about what you've done. With that, William personally wrapped chains around the door, while Henry piled heavy objects in front of it, eliminating any chance I had of saving myself. Now, watching Lily fake smile at my brothers, I let out another bitter mocking laugh. Brothers, the sister who loved you most in this world, has been killed by your own hands. Lily tugged on James's sleeve and said in a pitiful voice, Big brother, don't be angry anymore. It's my fault for being so weak and having food allergies. I'm sure Big Sister didn't mean it. Please don't blame her. James's expression instantly darkened. He said coldly, That wretched girl. We've clearly spoiled her too much, letting her develop such an arrogant and domineering personality. William's eyes flashed with surging anger. The older she gets, the more narrow-minded she becomes. If it weren't for her, how could Lily have ended up in this state? At this point, Lily deliberately exposed her limbs, which still showed faint traces of the allergic reaction, to the 3 brothers. There were still a few red marks visible. Henry gently stroked the skin that still bore slight redness. Does it still hurt, Lily? Lily lowered her head, her voice trembling as if she was about to cry. It doesn't hurt. Really, it doesn't. The anger in William's heart was thoroughly ignited. He shouted furiously. If we'd gotten to the hospital any later, it could have been life-threatening for Lily. And after all these days, she hasn't even sent a single message. She truly shows no remorse at all. James spoke with even greater fury. Go bring that wretched girl here to apologize. I don't believe she can keep refusing to say sorry. William and Henry joined in angrily. It's all because she's relied on our support. Now that she's done something wrong, she must face proper punishment. They turned to the servants and thundered, What are you all standing around for? Hurry up and bring that ungrateful brat here. And bring our disciplinary cane too. If it weren't for Rachel deliberately putting seafood in the meal, How could Lily have suffered in the hospital for 3 days? It's time to set the rules straight in this household. The servants didn't dare disobey and hurried off in my direction. I let out a despairing, bitter laugh. My brothers hadn't even investigated the truth before arbitrarily deciding I was guilty. 3 days ago, Lily said she was hungry, so I wanted to do something nice and cooked for her. She even gave me a small packet of seasoning, saying she wanted to eat that. I tasted it, and it seemed like normal seasoning. Who could have known it contained her allergen? James is supposed to be a business genius, yet he couldn't even see through such an obvious ploy for attention. If that's not favoritism, what is? In my brothers' hearts, I would never be as important as stepsister Lily. I felt increasingly desolate, but it didn't matter anymore. I had already died in that cellar. Now my brothers could give all their love and favor to Lily. Young master, we've been calling Miss Rachel for a long time, but there's been no response at all. We can't hear any breathing from inside. James frowned deeply, stood up abruptly, his face cold with anger. What new game is that wretched girl playing now? Does she think it's beneath her dignity to apologize to Lily? Does she still not understand that she nearly killed you this time? Lily tugged on James's sleeve again and said sadly, "Big brother, it's okay. I'm just an orphan. I don't deserve to have big sister apologize to me." The anger in James's heart was thoroughly provoked, using such a lowly tactic for attention. Does she really think I can't see through it? She must think she's so clever, thinking if she plays mute she can get away with it. It seems the punishment I gave her was too light. Let's go. Drag her out here. I'd like to see how she tries to hide now. She must kneel and apologize to Lily. I involuntarily followed my 3 brothers' footsteps, my heart growing heavier with sorrow. Fueled by their rage, my 3 brothers soon arrived at the cellar door. "Rachel Harper, do you think hiding in there silently will let you escape punishment?" But there was no sound from inside the cellar. William's face grew even darker. "Rachel Harper, what are you still pretending for? Come out right now and kneel to apologize to Lily. Don't think that hiding in there, turning off your phone, and not contacting us will let you avoid the consequences of deliberately hurting Lily." Henry's eyes were blazing with anger as he shouted, "Rachel Harper, you've really gotten bold. You just can't stand to see us being nice to Lily, so you're deliberately staying silent to provoke us. Do you really think hiding in the cellar and refusing to speak will make us give in first?" There was still no sound from inside the cellar. James turned to look at the trembling servants and coldly commanded, "Why are you all shaking? Tell me the truth. Did that wretched girl bribe you? Did you secretly let her out?" William snorted. Given her despicable nature, she probably couldn't stand being in the cellar after we left and had these servants open the door to let her out. Henry's eyes were filled with disappointment. "You nearly killed Lily, but you can't even face the consequences of your actions. Is this really the sister I know? Do you really think we only have you as a sister?" At this point, a servant finally spoke up trembling. "Young master, we wouldn't dare let her out without your orders. Miss Rachel has truly been in the cellar for 3 whole days now." Henry looked at the still silent cellar, a flicker of unease passing through his eyes. He walked up and pulled hard on the cellar door several times, but couldn't open it. "Rachel Harper, enough is enough. I've unlocked all the locks. Are you still stubbornly holding the door shut from inside?" I looked at the twisted cellar door and could only laugh bitterly. At the time, desperate to save myself from suffocation, I had repeatedly slammed against the door, just wanting to survive. But the cellar door was exceptionally sturdy. I couldn't even create the slightest gap, and could only suffocate to death in that cellar. "Brothers, when you see my corpse, will you be able to give me even a tiny bit of love and bury me next to Mom and Dad?" James grew increasingly agitated. He started kicking the door forcefully. The twisted cellar door opened a larger crack, and a foul stench wafted out. A servant trembled as she spoke. "It smells like a decomposing body." The other 2 brothers also approached, full of rage. "What decomposing body? She clearly ran away long ago and just threw a dead rat in there to trick us. Rachel Harper, do you really think we're that easy to fool?" The 3 brothers grew even more impatient and all started kicking the door together. The entire cellar entrance shook again. With a loud bang, the door was kicked wide open. Along with an even stronger putrid smell, the small dark cellar was exposed to everyone's view.